It's time to put on the nostalgia goggles and take a trip through the past to answer a very important question. No, not that far back! Why was Rome Total War so damn good when it came out? Let's ignore the obvious, like it being the first 3D engine Total War set in antiquity. An epic period beloved by kids, high schoolers, or I'ma be real with you, anyone. The real answer is because it was fucking fun. I'm not gonna spend half an hour giving you a retrospective analysis of the game. I'm keeping it real. I'm just gonna say how it was back in the day. How it felt to play this for the first time. Or the 1000th time. You have this giant world to explore from Britain to the Eurasian steppe. By the gods, I can't wait to escape Britain. Thousands of legionaries, Spartans, time-traveling Egyptians, and blood-crazed barbarians were at your command, ready to set the whole world on fire. Don't tell me you didn't play custom battles as a kid where you had free Spartan units holding off swarms of pink pajama Persians, where you try to recreate Thermopylae and win. If you're gonna lie to me, don't lie to your inner child. Mine's long gone, consumed by the demons of Total War. Don't tell me you didn't play siege battles just to watch the walls crumble down and a bunch of dudes have a wacky death by falling.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
And there was a whole new level of insanity with units that had either a very limited historical appearance or were just complete fiction. Sending burning pigs to panic elephants? You know, I wonder if elephant meat is halal. Yeah, I don't think I wanna know. Throwing heads with head hurlers or just watching berserkers Beyblade their way through an entire infantry line, eating them up like the Tasmanian devil was the real deal. Getting crushed by Amazon mommies, death by Snoo Snoo. Alpha testing Total War Pharaoh 20 years ago and mowing down infantry with chariots? You're not gonna lie to me that you did it because of gameplay depth. You did it because it was fun. And it was something brand new. Younger you didn't know better. Or maybe it did, but it doesn't matter. You still had a ton of fun. Maybe this is the game that inspired you to get more into history, even ending up studying it when you're an adult. Maybe you and a few friends got expelled from class a few times for randomly starting to quote an epic general speech. It totally didn't happen to me, no. Why are you looking at me like that? But how do you even get to all the crazy parts that made the game so good? You start with 3 flavors of Rome, because the game's totally not called Rome Total War or something. You got Kool-Aid Rome, Gatorade Rome, and Toxic Sludge Rome because I hate the Brutii, all my homies hate Brutus. There's also the 4th, unplayable Roman faction, the lean addicts of the Senate, which controlled actual Rome, and give you all sorts of missions. Either to your benefit, or to piss you off by giving you a bad reward. A bireme from capturing a city. I wish I could take this bireme and ram it up every senator's. Every little Roman boy's dream is to become a politician, so if you were influential enough, you could join the sleazebags in the Senate. But in their great wisdom, they could decide you weren't worthy to hold any offices despite you being the most powerful faction. The Senate has its own diplomacy. And the way it's gonna preferentially treat the other Roman factions, they expect an obedient dog. But, luckily, there's the plebs. Your reputation with the people will grow the happier they are. The more you conquer, you could even organize games frequently. Remember, bread and games, and most importantly, based on your faction leader and character traits. One of the most iconic features of the game has to be its role-playing potential. I know, you're here to watch mini soldiers kill each other over pixel land, but sometimes heroes arise from common men. Armies didn't need generals. If your captain, Biggest Dickus, performed heroically enough, he could be adopted and turned into a full-fledged family member. You already changed this man's destiny. Now you can continue his story across the world. Maybe he's gonna become a great conqueror, or just end up chasing boys in Athens. If your character spends a little bit too much time worshipping Bacchus, which there's nothing wrong with that by the way, he's gonna turn into a chronic alcoholic and run over pedestrians with his chariot. If your character was degenerate enough, you could end up with Reptilicus as your family member, and that's a great idea because being family means you should subscribe because they do all sorts of educational, historical, and wacky content. So do it, or I'm gonna feed you to the dogs. If you're a glorious victor, a god of the battlefield, say hello to love from the plebs and hatred from the Senate. Eventually, as you get traits where the people love you and the Senate hates you, and you expand your power base, this is gonna culminate into an epic civil war to conquer Rome and the other families, setting the stage for your personal little own Roman Empire. All the Romans had the exact same playstyle, but what separated them was the narrative. The epic intros that set up your adventures. At least on paper, because the game is a massive sandbox. You can go wherever you want. The Scipii were destined to crush Carthage, but nothing stopped you from conquering Greece at the start and setting sail for Scythia because you're mentally ill like me and love horse archers. Oh, by the way, the Scipii diplomat is literally Johnny Sins. This is why they're the best Roman faction. The Julii were Caesar maxing and fighting the Gigachat Gauls, while the Brutii wanted to go chase boys in Greece. Remember the sandbox part? The same applies to the AI, because all the Romans were allied, so you could end up with the Julii conquering Carthaginian territories as an example. But wait, there's more. When you destroy a faction, they become playable. No DLCs, no modern greedy business practices. You were rewarded from playing the game by unlocking new factions. Or you could be lazy like me and just go to the notepad file and edit them to be playable. Even dedicated unplayable factions like the Rebels or Scythians could be yours to command. And there was a bunch of crazy cheat codes if you just wanted to make the game face roll. You could even summon gigantic elephants. I mean, look at this for yourself. The other factions didn't have a Senate equivalent, which means they lacked a bit of depth. Quite a few of the factions were straight up terrible in comparison to Rome. I'm looking at you, Spain. Especially the barbarians, which got the short end of the stick, but they were a lot more challenging to play as a result and could lead to some unforgettable Total War moments. Especially if you wanted to change history and turn the Romans into the losers. Something via Victus. You could recreate Alexander's empire and his planned future conquests. Or you could make your inner Asterix and Obelix fanboy happy by exterminating the Roman filth. Look at this little guy, he sure looks happy. Not at all depressed that chosen swordsmen fall off a cliff fairly fast. Or you could make Reptilicus happy and conquer the world with Bronze Age Egyptians. I'm sure you would love that, right? You could do all sorts of wacky shenanigans on the campaign map, even rushing major victories in world conquest with diplomat cheese by trading settlements. Yeah, when I tried explaining this to my girlfriend, she thought it was a real life type of cheese, and then I don't even know, man. I don't know what to say. Since I mentioned settlements, there's also a population mechanic, which, hey, it makes sense. I mean, people don't grow on trees. You gotta feed them. Building farms for food production was nice. You could also enslave the conquered to boost your population. And when a city is getting big enough that squalor is gonna be an issue, you could take a whole stack of peasants from your huge-ass city and resettle them in God's asshole in Scythia to turn it into a metropolis. Not every city was a streamlined copy-paste like you see in modern Total Wars. Sure, you could specialize some settlements a little bit and eventually end up building all the buildings, but a lot of the building choices were done in the moment. Since the recruitment speed was limited to 1 unit per turn, let's say you would go to Sicily, you could produce 2 Hastati from 2 settlements and 1 Equitus from the 3rd settlement to speed up your army recruitment massively. Or you could find a nice little rich place where you're gonna build economy buildings only and some public order, tax abuse the local populace with your governor while tax evading the Senate. You could even see your settlements outside of battle with the city viewer. Civilians would just walk around the city and do their business of civilianing. It's the little, but very interactive things that make the game age like a fine wine, and even though it has a ton of bugs, don't get me started on them, we're not here to yap about them. There's not an A when it comes to accuracy. Pharaonic Egyptians fighting against the Spanish bull warriors, you got the mythical Amazons hidden in Hyperborea, and you can have Roman ninjas assassinate Britain head hurlers. But all this goofiness just added to the game's fun. Besides, did you know better as a kid? Maybe. Maybe not, but it was fun seeing something like this for the first time. Or the 1000th time. And if you wanted accuracy, there were God Mode mods. I miss my Pontikoi Torakitai, my Skuda Fistek Fetek Jite. There's not a B of balance, because 20 years ago, Creative Assembly didn't care for the words balance, feedback, or
I like money.
at least not as much. They cared about one word: fun. And that's what Rome Total War was, and it still is: fun. The chance to recreate history to an extent, or completely rewrite it depending on how much you hate Rome like I do. Us barbarian chads keeping it real. And there you have it. A nostalgic, completely rose-tinted goggled trip through time, but it was necessary. Sometimes you just gotta feel good, drop the negativity and the realism crap, and just remember the awesome times you had with a classic of a game. I hope you enjoyed this little nostalgic throwback to the good old times. I had a ton of fun making it, and I had a ton of fun playing Rome again. And you should do it too, because it's awesome. You should also stick around. Subscribe if you're crazy enough too, because there's a lot more content coming. Historical, educational, wacky videos, you name it, I got it. So until the next time...